Dasha was spending the night alone at her grandmother's old apartment. It was a quiet place, buried in an aging Soviet-era block, and smelled of lavender dust and something she couldn't quite place, like forgotten time. She wasn't afraid. She had grown up visiting this flat every summer, and though the hallway lights flickered and the floorboards creaked, it felt familiar, safe. Until midnight. The rotary phone on the wall, the one that hadn't worked in years, rang. It wasn't a ringtone. It was a buzzing, metallic shriek that echoed through the room. Dasha froze. Her heart skipped. She stood up slowly and walked over to the phone. With trembling fingers, she picked up the receiver. At first, nothing. Then, a woman's whisper. "Don't open the door." "Baba?" Dasha whispered, her voice dry. "She's already outside. Don't let her in. It's not me." The line went dead. 3 slow, heavy knocks echoed from the front door. Dasha's blood ran cold. Then a warm, familiar voice came from the other side. "Dasha, it's me, dear. I forgot my keys. Open up." It was exactly her grandmother's voice. Exactly. She stared at the door. The peephole was too dusty to see through. 2 voices, both claiming to be her grandmother. One from the phone, one from behind the door. Which one was real? And what if neither was? Dasha stood in silence, the phone still in her hand, the air thick with dread. Knock. 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 Each knock seemed slower, heavier, as if time itself was holding its breath. "Dasha," came the voice again, soft and warm. "Please, dear, it's cold out here. Let me in." It was perfect, too perfect. The way the voice curled around her name, it felt rehearsed, scripted. She backed away from the door. Her eyes landed on an old photo of her and her grandmother on the wall, a gentle face, wrinkled, kind, real. This voice, it lacked the soul. She whispered to the photo, "What would you do?" Suddenly, the TV turned on by itself. A static screen buzzed for a second, and then a VHS-style video began to play. It showed her, Dasha, sleeping on the living room couch. The footage was dark, slightly shaky, like it had been recorded secretly, from inside the apartment. She stared in disbelief. On the screen, behind the couch where she lay sleeping, a dark silhouette moved across the frame. Right behind her. She dropped the phone and turned around. No one. She grabbed a kitchen knife. Her hands were shaking now. Then, the front door handle began to slowly turn. Click, click, click. It wasn't locked. She sprinted to the door, slammed the deadbolt shut, and pressed her back against the wood. Her breath came in ragged gasps. Then the voice behind the door changed. No longer kind. Deeper, distorted. "You're too late." From the corner of the room, the rotary phone rang again. The phone shrieked again, not with a regular ring, but with something wet, organic, like the howl of a wounded animal buried in static. Dasha, hand still clutching the knife, approached it like prey, approaching a predator. She picked up the receiver. Silence. Then, a low breath. And a voice, distorted, overlapping like multiple people speaking at once. "You shouldn't have stayed." "Who are you?" she whispered, barely able to speak. "You already know. You've seen me before. In your dreams, in the window, when you were 6. Her mouth went dry. She had seen something, once, when her grandmother fell asleep during a thunderstorm and left her alone in the living room. She remembered a shadow outside the window, not moving but staring. It had no face. And now it was back. The lights flickered. Then all went dark. A deep humming vibrated through the walls, like a generator winding up, or a chorus of whispers too low to understand. In the blackness, a red glow appeared in the hallway mirror. Dasha turned slowly. The mirror showed her standing in the room, but behind her stood a tall figure, black as tar, with a stretched neck and no eyes. She spun around. Nothing. She looked back at the mirror. The figure was now closer. Behind her ear. It lifted one finger and pointed not at her, but at the phone in her hand. The voice returned, louder now inside her head. "Answer the door, Dasha. I don't like waiting." Suddenly, the door slammed itself 3 times. Not knocks. Slams. And from outside, "Dasha, please! I'm scared. There's something out here with me." This time, it was her own voice. The voice outside the door, her own voice, kept pleading. "Dasha, I'm out here. I'm you, and I'm cold." She pressed her hands over her ears. "No, no, you're not me." But a whisper slid between her palms like smoke. "Then why do we share the same memories?" Dasha ran to the hallway, flicked the light switch. Nothing. The apartment groaned. She needed proof she wasn't going insane. She needed something, anything, to ground herself. She reached for her grandmother's photo album on the living room shelf. Thick, leather-bound, dusty, familiar. Page after page of old black and white photos, birthdays, summer picnics, aunts and cousins long forgotten. And then, a picture she didn't recognize. A photo of her, aged around 8, sitting at the kitchen table, alone. But she knew this day her grandmother had taken that picture. She remembered the smell of tea, the squeaky chair. Except, behind her in the photo, half hidden by a door frame, a figure. Tall, faceless. Exactly like the one from the mirror. She dropped the album, her heart thudded in her throat. It had been there all along. Watching. Growing closer. She stumbled backward, and the album spilled open on the floor. Every photo now had it in the background. The birthday party. The school play. Even her graduation. Always behind her. Blurry but unmistakable, like a tumor hiding in her memories. Then the TV screen lit up again. It showed her current self right now, flipping through the album. But in the corner of the frame, the figure was standing behind her again. She turned. No one. But a gust of wind blew through the room, even though all windows were shut. Then the voice returned. But this time, it wasn't coming from the door or the phone. It came from inside her own mouth, speaking without her permission. "I've always been with you, Dasha." And her reflection smiled. The reflection smiled. But Dasha wasn't smiling. Her face in the mirror began moving independently, slowly tilting its head as if studying her, like prey. "I gave you everything," it said. The mouth in the mirror moved. Dasha's did not. "I kept you safe, hid in your shadow, protected you from the dark, and now you've outgrown me." "No," Dasha whispered. "You fed on me. You watched me." The lights flickered violently. Then, static, again the TV screen lit up. But this time, there were 2 Dashas on it. One in the apartment. One in a black void mirroring her every move. But always, half a second late. She realized. The entity wasn't haunting her, it was her. A parasitic twin of identity, a shadow born from suppressed fear, childhood trauma, broken memories, kept alive by attention. It had always been there. And now, it wanted full control. Suddenly, the entire apartment began to distort. Walls shifted, windows stretched like melting wax, furniture bent backward. Reality was dissolving. The door creaked open behind her on its own. The hallway beyond was no longer her grandmother's. It was an endless corridor of mirrors. Each reflection showed a slightly different version of herself. Some crying, some screaming, one smiling with blood on her hands. The phone rang one final time. Dasha approached it slowly, the knife still in her hand, her other hand trembling. She picked up the receiver. Choose. 2 paths. Let the reflection in, become whole, let it guide her life forever, erase doubt, erase herself. Or cut it out, banish it, but lose pieces of who she was. Never be whole again. She stood in silence. Then, she screamed and plunged the knife into the mirror. Glass exploded. Darkness swallowed everything. When the light returned, Dasha stood alone in the apartment. The mirrors were gone. The photo album empty. The phone silent. She walked to the door, opened it. Sunlight. Real, warm. For the first time in years, her reflection in the hallway mirror moved with her. No delay, no shadow. But her eyes looked older, like something had left her, or something had stayed behind. But if she would look back, she would change everything. The apartment was calm now. Too calm. Dasha stood in the light, her hands still trembling from what she'd done, from what she'd banished. The broken mirror lay shattered at her feet, and for the first time, no voice echoed in her head. But something felt incomplete. In the corner of her eye, something flickered. She turned to the TV. It was off. No static, no recording, just a blank screen. She moved closer. Her own reflection appeared faintly in the black glass, natural, unbroken. And then, behind her, a handprint. On the inside of the screen. She recoiled. Suddenly, the TV sparked. A burned message appeared on its surface, like a scar forming through smoke. "I'm still here." She stepped back, heart racing. Her reflection began to distort again, melting into a dozen warped copies of herself, each flickering at different points in her life. Scared at 6, crying at 10, numb at 15. A whisper curled from the walls. "You broke the mirror, not the bond." Desperate for escape, Dasha grabbed her coat and ran toward the front door. She flung it open, but the hallway was gone. Instead, a long, dark corridor with peeling wallpaper and dim yellow light bulbs that buzzed like flies. She stepped in. The floor groaned beneath her feet. Each step echoed unnaturally, like walking on hollow bones. Suddenly, a door appeared on her left, one she didn't remember from the building. She opened it. Inside was her own bedroom, but not from this apartment, from her childhood home. Same posters, same sheets, same cracked window. Except, on the bed lay another Dasha, sleeping, just like in the first recording. Dasha stepped closer. The girl stirred. Her eyes fluttered open. Black. Empty. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out, just dust. Then the other Dasha grinned and whispered, "You shouldn't have looked for me." The world fractured. Dasha woke up. In her grandmother's apartment. Morning sun poured in through the windows. Birds sang. Everything was normal. She sat up, rubbed her face, laughed a little. "Just a nightmare?" she whispered. She stood, walked to the kitchen, poured herself tea, sat down, and smiled. The camera slowly pulls back to show her reflection in the mirror. Still smiling, but not moving, not blinking, not following. Then the smile grows, slightly too wide, and the reflection whispers to the camera, "She was delicious." Cut to black.